Where would we be without the various products delivered by the men and women in the trucking industry? Healthy Conversations in Trucking podcast is a platform for professional long-haul truck drivers to share their journeys over the road, educating listeners about the trucking industry and lifestyle. Now, let's dive into the conversation on this brand new episode. All right. Well, I'm excited to introduce everyone to our guest on this episode. Josh, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
I'm good. How are you today?
I'm really good. I'm looking forward to this conversation. You know, we chatted for a few minutes before hitting record, so I'm really excited to dive in. So why don't you just start off by telling us a little bit about who you are? Like, how long have you been in trucking?
I've been in trucking since I was 12 years old. I'm currently 46. I'll be 47 here in September. I joined the military for a little while. When I got out, there was really nothing for me to do, so I got back into trucking, and I've been trucking ever since. A lot of local stuff in Massachusetts where I'm from, and then I decided I want to go over the road, and I did a lot of trucking over the road. I do all 48. My mission and goal is to drive into Hawaii. I'm taking a vacation there one of these days, and I'm going to figure out a way to drive an 18-wheeler in Hawaii so I can say I've done it. I don't have any desire to go to Alaska, so I'll never drive a truck in Alaska, but I definitely want to go to Hawaii.
So you're not interested in being on Ice Road Truckers if they brought the show back, huh?
No. I do enough when I drive through Montana, Wyoming, Idaho, in the middle of the winter with oversized loads. I'm all set with going out to Alaska and doing it as an actual job.
So you have to tell me, how in the world did you get started in trucking at 12 years old?
My dad worked for an asphalt company, and I was always intrigued. His dad, my grandfather, was the head of the Department of Public Works, and I'd always go to his shop, and there was machines, there was trucks, there was everything there. I always wanted to play with them, and I'd climb up in them and get in trouble. And then one day he just said, fine, you want to play with these things? You're going to learn how to drive. And there's not a machine out there that I don't know how to operate enough to drive, load on my trailer, unload off my trailer, park it, whatever. And there's not a truck out there I can't drive. I've just continued to grow and learn as I got older. And it's something that I really enjoy. People say you don't go to work to be happy. I love what I do. The only thing I don't love is being away from my family, but I enjoy getting up. It's a different experience every day. It's a different challenge every day, especially for what I do.
Sounds awesome. So obviously your dad had a pretty big influence on you, and I like that. He got you started. I like that thinking there. If you're going to be this interested and this involved, you're going to learn how to operate it. So what do you haul?
Yep.
What do you haul now? You say you've driven all types of trucks.
So I've hauled in past trailer dump, which is like rock, gravel, loam, wood chips, things of that nature. There's a lot of in and out of the truck all day, and it was just nothing for me. Now I haul what they call low bed or RGN. I haul machines. I'm that jerk everybody sees on the highway that they hate. That sign says oversized, flags everywhere, and I'm wider than my trailer and whatnot. I consistently move machinery. That's all I do is huge machines or a lot of military loads. I'm at military bases 5-6 times a month, every month. I don't care what I haul. As long as it's a machine or a military load, I'm happy as can be with it. It's a different challenge every load, every machine. It's a different location. I was just in Fort Worth, Texas. I picked up a forklift, and I'm out in the middle of nowhere outside of Las Vegas in between the mountains and the valleys, delivering to a power plant that they're putting together because they just put solar power plant panels all across the valley. And this is the main place, and bringing the forklift to them here, and I'll deliver tomorrow morning. And then I'll go back to Vegas and pick up another machine. And I don't know where it's going yet because I really haven't figured out where I want to go.
Wow. So I am thinking now about, this oversized load, because I've definitely seen your type of trucks on the road, because I never know what lane to be in when I'm trying to in that state. But so when you are, and you've traveled all 48, so Is there a particular area of the country that you really like to travel in, or that you find, is it easier to to maneuver, or like is there some part that you call your favorite?
I don't have a favorite. I have two least favorites, but I don't have a favorite. I don't mind going anywhere. I don't care where it is. I really don't. But I will not go to California, any of the Los Angeles, any of the major cities. I stay out in the woods and the mountains and the hills on the outskirts of the state of California. If I do go in, there's a few bases over there that I'll go to. Other than that, I don't go to California at all. And I will not drive anywhere near the George Washington Bridge or that whole area. Staten Island, Queens, that whole section there, Newark, New Jersey. I don't go anywhere near any of that because you could be there for 8, 10, 14 hours and go 6 miles. It's not what I'm trying to do. I'm not out here to not make money or not make miles, and I get paid by the mile. I don't get paid by the hour. So sitting for 6, 10, 8 hours to go up the road isn't worth it to me. So I refuse to go to New York City and the surrounding areas of that or any of the major cities in California.
That makes a lot of sense. Does that cause any problems for you?
No, when I got hired for the company I worked for, that was the first thing I told them. I said, I'll go everywhere in this country except for these 2 areas and these 2 states. I'll do the state. I have no problem. I was just up in Buffalo and Syracuse, New York. I have no problem going to New York. I have no problem going to Cali, as long as I'm headed up towards like Yuma, California, which is up in the northern area towards Oregon, or in the southern area down by Arizona. No problem going to those places. You get me closer and closer to the water, closer and closer to the coast, closer and closer to the major cities. Now I have a huge problem not doing it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. So if you think about the time that you've been in trucking, what would you say is your, what you like the most about what you do?
Like before I got on this with you, I was coming through the Grand Canyon area, and it was a nice night. The sky was clear, and I was able to take some pictures and video of the Hoover Dam and driving through Grand Canyon. I get to see a lot of stuff that most people don't get to see. So I try to do my best with taking photos or Snapchats or what have you, and send it to my family so they can see. I go live on my Facebook every now and again. Friends of mine are trying to convince me to do TikToks. I haven't figured out how to do that yet. I might get into that, but for now, I love the scenery. I mean, the scenery is every day. I could come back to where I'm at right now in Vegas in a week, and it'll be a completely different scene than what I'm sitting out looking at now because of the weather change and whatnot.
Yeah.
That's one of the major things I do love. And as much as the drivers drive me insane, I don't mind the road. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't affect me in a negative way. I just go. And when I say go, I mean I drive 650 to 750 miles every day on an average.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
That's a lot. So what
and I do it legally. The DOT is very strict on our logbooks and stuff, and I do those out on a consistent basis, and I do them legally.
Yeah.
Today I only had to go 535 miles to get to my delivery. Yesterday I drove 711. The day before I drove 670. The day before that I drove 672. So I mean, on average, I put better than 650 miles on the truck a day, and that's including unloading or loading and driving. So it's just one of the things where, as long as I'm not home, I love being in the truck, and I'm going to go, 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 go. When I'm at home, I don't think about this truck. I don't look at this truck. I stay home and I focus on my family.
Yeah. That's really good. Sounds like you're really efficient. So with that in mind, then what do you like least about trucking?
Can I plead the fifth? Only because it's I try not to be negative, but the one thing I don't like is the way that we're treated on the road. We get cut off, we get slammed, we get hit, and then they scream and yell and blame us for hitting them when they're the ones who cut us off. They did whatever. I have 2 cameras on my truck, one outside my truck and one inside on the windshield to watch everything. I've had incidents where they told the cops lies, and I just stood there and listened to them lie and listened to the cop get mad at me. And then I play the video back to the cop, and he just looks at me and he's like, "Why didn't you say anything?" I said, "Because it doesn't matter what I say. You're going to believe anybody else until I hand you proof. Here's your proof." And then they apologize. So the one thing I truly hate is the way we're treated. And I say we, I mean, we as truck drivers overall are treated the exact same by all what we call four-wheelers, by all the people driving cars and stuff. I mean, the truck drivers disrespect each other sometimes too, but it's more so the cars and the pickup trucks and the box trucks. They don't want to get behind us because we're slow. They don't want to get next to us because they're afraid of us, but yet they're the ones putting everybody's lives in danger. I mean, on average, I weigh about 85,000 pounds. If I hit you, you're not going to just get a scratch. You're going to know I hit you, and you're going to launch in the car, into the woods, into the median, into the barriers, into another car. You're not just going to get a little scratch on your hand and be like, "Oops, that hurt." It's going to cause severe damage to your vehicle, yourself, my vehicle. And that's one thing I hate about the industry overall is the way we're treated.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you for sharing that and also for your, your intent on remaining positive, which I already know that you are working toward a positive outcome on this challenge here that you're just describing. And I'm going to come back to that in just a second because I want to talk a little bit more about what you're doing. Before we do, I'd like to ask you about the health challenges on the road. I know that being over the road presents a lot of health challenges for the men and women that choose this industry that can just make it, the fact that you are over the road and refined to the truck and the sedentary driving and the limitations can make it even more challenging. So are there any health-related challenges that you are dealing with over the road? And if so, like, how are you addressing that?
It's all based on individuals. Like, yeah, there's health challenges, but some of these truck stop offers gyms. Some of these places that you work for offer a dispatch location that you can go to instead of going to a truck stop, that have gyms, that have good food, that have healthy choices and whatever. And like, in what we're going to talk about here in a little while, we've found out that we found a microwave. It's a microwave, air fryer, and a convection oven. It's inexpensive. It fits right in your truck, and you can cook yourself. And a lot of people that I deal with and talk to, we have them now, and we share recipes. We share different things. So we eat a lot healthier. I stopped eating a lot of the McDonald's craps. I get a lot of salads if I'm going to go into the truck stop and get food, whether it's at Arby's or Wendy's or McDonald's or Subway. I try to stay away from what I consider the crap. I stay in my truck and try to make my own food. So for health issues that way, I would say, it's an individual. Now, I have underlying health issues from when I was in the military and when I played semi-pro football. So I have aches and pains that I have to deal with every day. And some days sitting in this truck bouncing around these wonderfully paved, beautifully constructed roads that we drive on that look like Swiss cheese, my back and my knee from prior activities are shot. And some days it's more of a struggle to put that 650 miles down the road like I was talking about.
Yeah.
But you mind over matter, and then eventually it just disappears and you don't worry about it anymore. But
yeah,
I would say it's an individual thing more so than anything, because each person's going to do what they think is the best for them. And I'm going to do what's best for me. My wife screams and yells at me often about not taking care of myself, or where she thinks that I'm not taking care of myself.
Right.
And I remind her that she's not in the truck with me, so she can't see everything. But I'm actually doing a lot better than she thinks I am.
Okay. I definitely can relate to that because I'm that one I'm that wife fussing at my husband when he's over the road. But I know you make a good point. It's very individual. I've talked to so many people on the podcast so far who speak to various challenges with access to food. And then several people have shared some of the tips and how they cook on their truck, or how they do meal prep when they're home so that they can have better choices on the road. I like that
I have a slow cooker that I'm actually cooking chili in right now.
Really?
Yeah, I have a crock pot.
So
and it's literally plugged in. It's been plugged in for the last 2.5 hours while I was driving to get where I'm sitting at. And in another 20 or so minutes, it'll all be done and I'll have chili for dinner.
So you just like have your ingredients. Do you have a refrigerator or something?
Yeah, I have a refrigerator, and then I have some storage areas that I turn into like a pantry.
Mm-hmm.
I bring a lot of food out. My wife and I'll prep some stuff ahead of time, or she'll have stuff in the freezer or whatnot, and I'll take chicken and sausage and stuff like that and pull it with me. And then when I'm sitting, I'll cook some of the stuff and then just meal prep it and throw it in the fridge. And then when it's time to eat, I can just throw it back in the microwave. And instead of cooking it in a microwave, I can put it in the oven where it doesn't continue to cook. It just heats, or I can air fry stuff. Like I had chicken wings the other day that I air fried in my truck. No grease, no nothing like that. Just threw it in my microwave. And 20 minutes later, I had a dozen chicken wings seasoned in how I wanted them. And it was probably a third of what I would have spent if I had taken and gone into a restaurant.
Right. Not to mention much better for you.
Absolutely, because there was no grease in it. Even though it was fried, there was no grease in it, so it was a better choice.
Yeah, I like hearing. So let's talk about this group that you have, because I like the idea that like even here on the podcast, when I have a guest that shares some tips or things that they're doing, especially how they're prepping their food or how they're eating, I know that it helps people who listen. So if you have a community where people are sharing like this, that's going to be even more impactful. So let's talk about this club, this group. Can you please tell me and our listeners too, like what is the name of it, and how did it, how did you get this, find out about it? How did it get started? Who's it for? That kind of thing.
The name of the club is Brothers of the Highway, TC. It's a trucking club. It's not a motorcycle club. We're not affiliated with any kind of motorcycle clubs. We don't do anything illegal or whatnot. What we're trying to do is change the industry, change the persona, change the perspective of the community and of the truck drivers, one person at a time. The club started about a year ago in July by the president that was in a different one. They just got really political, and he didn't want politics. He wanted to make a change, so he stepped away, let them know he was going to start his own, and he started his own. And one day I was looking something up, and a couple days later, I got some notifications of different things that I had been looking up, and this came across. I read some information on it. I looked at it. I reached out and asked them what they were about, and one of the guys reached back out to me, explained to me some things, and after that, I decided that I was interested. I wanted to do more, and from that moment on, I've been part of the club since November of last year. I worked my way through, and now I'm the national vice president of the Brothers of the Highway. We've got a lot of things going on. We've got a Facebook page that you can be a part of, to be a supporter, a follower, to see what's going on. We've got over 35 members right now. We're growing every week. We're adding more people. But the main reason we're doing it is because we want to see the change. Trucking in the last 20 years has gotten overregulated, and also it's all about me. We're trying to take the me first attitude and put it away and make it like it used to be, where you go to a truck stop and there's 5 truck drivers helping one guy work on his truck, or there's 4 truck drivers behind the truck, and there's a grill, and they're hanging out, goofing around, talking to each other, eating something decent, and just getting to know people. We're trying to bring that back. That's what we want. We want the old school ways of trucking, the old school brotherhood, the camaraderie. We want that back, because I first started driving, even though I was only local, you could see from then till now, I can see a huge difference in the trucking industry. So we're out here just trying to, change that. And then with our Facebook page, we do all kinds of videos. We do all kinds of meetups. Like, we're not just a Facebook page where we just goof around. We actually meet up with other supporters. We go to truck shows. We go to different events. We meet up with each other. We meet up with other people and talk to them. And we post pictures all through the page. And you go through the page and you'll see just an absorbent amount of people meeting up with other people, talking about different things, talking about changing. I met up with one of the brothers here a couple of days ago. He introduced me to his wife, his son, his wife's dad, his brother-in-law. I had dinner at their house over in Fort Worth, Texas, and we just had a really good time. Another group of guys were in Missouri this weekend. They went to a tractor pull, a demolition derby, and something else. They went golfing Saturday and Sunday, and they had barbecues and stuff like that. And it was 5 brothers and then a bunch of other people that they had met that they were talking to and just hung out and had time. So we're just trying to truly change the industry. And like I said earlier about the food and stuff, we all have the same air fryer. It's a 3-in-1. We all told each other about it, told each other where to find it, told each other how inexpensive it was, and now we share recipes with each other. Somebody's like, oh, I did this, and it came out amazing. Or somebody's like, oh, I did this, and it's nasty. Don't try it because you're just going to waste your time. So we're helping each other and trying to do that as well. So, we spend hours a day in a chat on our phones, just driving down the highway, talking, goofing around. Some guys have mechanical problems with a truck. We try to help them diagnose it. They pull over. We try to help them fix it, look for things that we know, because everybody's got different levels of experience. We're not discriminatory in any way. We'll take any driver that started. We've got a guy that just started 6 weeks ago. He just got out of school. And we've got a couple guys that have been trucking for over 35 years. There's no discrimination in it. We want everybody. And we're really trying to make a difference some way, somehow.
I really like to hear that. It aligns so well with, why I started this podcast. Jonathan and I talk about it all the time, about the change that we want to see and the respect that needs to be there. And really, how there's such an opportunity for people to learn, because people just don't understand much about what goes on in the trucking industry. They just, this products show up and they don't think that much about the role that the trucks play in all of the products that, we receive from, and how it gets to the stores and how they get to our homes and things like that. So I really have a lot of respect for what you are doing and what you described with the club. And it seems like it's grown quite a bit.
We had a situation. Excuse me. We had a situation a few weeks ago. One of the drivers was delivering something, and this lady got out, and we'll call her Karen for the conversation.
Okay.
And she started yelling at him, and he just looked at her, and he was like, "Can you do me a favor?" She said, "What?" He's like, "Just think for yourself for a minute. The car you drove in came on a truck." "No, it didn't. It was transported by a train." "Okay. The food you eat at the grocery store came from a truck. It went from wherever it was at, in a truck, to a warehouse, moved around the warehouse, in a truck, to another warehouse, into smaller trucks or box trucks, to the grocery store. Everything you touch, consume, want, desire, whatever, comes from a truck. But yet, I'm a nuisance, I'm an inconvenience to you. If I didn't do what I do, you wouldn't have anything. You're a fool, man. You're an idiot. Why would you say that? Everything we get comes from the ocean or trains, and then box truck picks them up and delivers them where we need them. Mm-hmm. You guys are just in the way, and you guys are just a nuisance, and you guys cause major crashes, and you guys kill thousands of people a year." He just looked at her. He didn't know what to say. He didn't want to be rude or disrespectful, because we have a logo, we have T-shirts and hats that guys wear, and he had one of the T-shirts on, and he didn't want to do anything disrespectful or that would fall back on the club. So he just turned around and walked away. And she's like, yep, see, another idiot doesn't know how to articulate himself. So he just walks away. He literally walked back to her and explained to her all about life. And when she was done, she turned around and her husband said, finally, somebody put you in your place. Now shut up and pay attention to what the man said. It's the most important thing you've ever heard in your life. Everything consumed in the United States is hauled on a truck at some point in time before it gets to where it's sold for you to consume it. She got so mad and walked away from both of them, and he just laughed. The husband shook his hand, said, thank you for doing that, and they both walked away. But he had to literally lay it out for her so she could understand. And we talked about it in the club for a couple of days, and he's like, years ago, I'd have snapped on her, I'd have did this, that. He's like, but now I'm in the education stage. I want to educate people and teach them what their thought process is so crazy and wrong because they've been fed lies for so many years and fed that truck drivers are idiots. Truck drivers are this. The sad part is to be a truck driver, it's not easy. There's hundreds of things going on at the same time throughout your drive every day that a lot of people don't know. They just simply jump in these trucks and drive down the road. My truck weighs 46,000 pounds empty, not loaded, empty, just a truck and the trailer. Her car weighs 7,000 pounds.
Yeah. There's such an opportunity to educate, like you said. Yeah, I'm going to be following what you're doing, and I'm just really curious to know just some of the strategies and some of the ideas. I've been thinking about it for years because of my research and my health perspective, but I'm looking forward to learning more and following what you all are doing and seeing if there's an opportunity for the podcast to support more of what's going on and just kind of raise awareness of what you all are doing as well. Thank you for sharing all of that. Is there a way that if someone's listening and interested in the club, how do they find you?
They can Google us at Brothers of the Highway TC, or they can go on Facebook and they can look up Brothers of the Highway on Facebook. You tap the join button once you get on the page. You answer a couple stupid little questions. I say stupid because they're just making sure that you're not a bot or a spammer or anything like that. One of the admins, which would be the national officers, they'll approve you. We just went through it a few minutes ago, yourself and I literally approved you right after you filled it out. It's not that hard. And then just start scrolling through the page. It's a private, closed page. If you're not part of the page, if you're not a supporter, if you're not a member, you can't get to it. A lot of our families are members. A lot of our friends are members of the page or followers of the page. I'm sorry. We're trying to show everybody we've got over 1,200 followers, and we're growing daily, weekly, monthly. So it's going to be something hopefully big, but it takes time. And we always complained and said things that, we wanted to see change. Well, now we've become the change. We've become the difference. We're actually doing something to change, to help change.
Right.
So it's just one of those things where you can't want change, but sit in the background and let somebody else do it or hope somebody else does it. And we're all in the same mindset of we're going to be the change.
I think that's great. That's what I was going to say earlier is you guys have grown quite a bit in such a short period of time. So it will be interesting to see just, where you go and keep it up. Keep up the great work and wish you all the best and glad to be connected and part of that. So I think we can wrap up. This has been a great conversation, and I appreciate you taking some time to share about your journey in trucking and also about Brothers of the Highway TC. And please do share with some of the other members about the podcast. When your episode comes out, make sure they all get a chance to hear you, and look forward to having some of them become guests on the show as well.
Absolutely. I appreciate you reaching out, and I'm glad we have this opportunity, and I definitely will let some of the people know. And when this goes live, I will make sure that they'll be able to listen to it.
Perfect. Thank you for listening to the Healthy Conversations in Trucking podcast. Learn more or be a guest on a future episode by visiting healthyconversationsinTrucking.com or simply HCITpodcast.com.